hear all the amazing.
Been a lot on your plate, but I got what you need. You need a praise break. Get your praise on, 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 come on, get your praise on. Praise break. Get your praise on, get your praise, come on, get your praise on, get your praise on, get your praise on, get your praise, come on, get your praise on. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I can't help but praise. 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 3, 2, 1, go! Get your praise on, 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 praise break, get your praise on, get your praise on, get your praise on, get your praise on, break, get your praise on, get your praise on, get your praise on. I wanna sit down on God. Get up, 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 I wanna sit down on God. All right now.
Now you gotta give them the praise break dance. Hey. Oh my gosh. I told my friend Christian, I said, Christian, you have to give us something. You got to do a little praise break dance. You are live in the studio, and our peeps love to see our peeps do a praise break dance. And Christian was like, Miss Alisha, I don't know how to dance. And I'm like, you have to know how to dance. You from Nigeria.
Oh, man.
Everybody from Nigeria could dance.
Yeah, right. Don't let my cousins hear that. I can't dance.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much. All right, you guys. Welcome to your Noonday with Alisha Faye. I have live in the studio with us today, Mr. Christian Nwosu.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Did I pronounce that right?
Absolutely. Yes,
ma'am. All right, because I'm really wanted to be mindful of pronouncing your name correctly. From Nwosu and Associates.
That is correct.
So you are here today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for watching. I want you guys to do a couple things for us really quick. I want you to share the video. Tag your sister friends, your co-workers, your mama, your cousins, anybody that you know that needs some financial insight. So today we're going to be talking about finances and how not only to work for money, but how to make your money work for you and to leave a legacy for generations to come, even after you, right? I'm so honored. I'm so happy that you're here with us. So let's just dive right in, because this is an issue that a lot of people, right, not just a culture, but people in general have issues with. How do we save money? Even in this time, we've seen a lot of people who have lost jobs. Unemployment is on a rise, right? People are at home and things have just changed. And so now we're talking about restructuring, right?
Yes,
because this is definitely the time for us all to restructure things and to change our perspective and the narrative of how we think and handle money, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When COVID hit, everybody, it wasn't just a sector of people, it was all people, a nation, a worldwide of people, a global pandemic that everybody was affected by, right? And so people, lives changed immediately, drastically. So I'm glad that you're here with us today, because I want you to share with us in your expertise. This is what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
You are a financial advisor. You advise people on how to build muscle for their money, right? So introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
First and foremost, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Christian Nwosu. For those that don't know me, Christian Nwosu is my name. We're in the business of creating wealth. We're going to create that hashtag, the Wealth Advisor. And just to kind of tell you guys a little bit about myself, I actually got into the industry of helping people with their finances because I grew up in a 2-parent household, and my parents made really, really good money, you guys. I mean, incredible money. But one of the things that we found out, and that I found out and they found out, is that it's not what you make, but it's what you save and what you invest. So, man, one of the things that kind of propelled me to get into this industry is, you know, I saw what my parents had, and I saw the possibilities of what they could have had if they had the financial literacy and if they knew the right steps. So, man, I've made it a life's mission, man, to teach and educate everyone of how to build a long-term generational wealth, not just for now, but forever. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how we got started. And
I love that. I love that. And so even though you said I came from a 2-parent home and they did well, but you saw something that they could have done better.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Right. And I love that. Talk to us a little bit for those who are watching. So, you know, money, and, you know, we talk about the Bible talks about it's not only the love of money, but we need money to sustain and to survive and to live and all those things. How are you teaching your clients, teaching our viewers who are watching how to save? Like, that is one of the hardest things that we find in today. Like, how do we save when half the time you're working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet? And I said earlier, half the time our ends are not even meeting. It's kind of waving at each other because we can't even get those boys to meet. So how do we really start saving? How do we save money?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Well, the way that we save is, for starters, number one, it's about the vehicle. Yes, ma'am. Choosing the right vehicle, knowing the right vehicle.
I'm taking notes now.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Okay.
So choosing the right vehicle. So let me tell you what that means, choosing the right vehicle. If I were to ask you how long it takes to get to Dallas on average, how long would you say?
I think it's maybe 3 or 4 hours, right?
3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
Well, what if I told you it only took 45 minutes?
I would definitely want to take the 45-minute route.
See, you automatically assume we were talking about driving, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the vehicle that you choose is going to dictate how fast you get to the destination that you want to go to. And a lot of us have traditionally, what we've been taught about money is we need to save our money. We need to save our money. But let me let you in on a little secret that the wealthy know. You can save your money for 300 years and you'll never get to retirement. You have to be investing your money. That is the only way that you're going to ever even be in a potential to have a fighting shot at being able to become, I won't even say retire, but to becoming financially independent. You have to be investing your money, long-term investments. And that's some of the things that our programs teach is those type of vehicles that will allow your money to work for you.
I love that kind of vehicle. And you know what? Earlier when I did a little short post about you coming on, I saw one of my, she was a hairstylist in Louisiana, and we kind of like chatted really quick. That's one of the things, like when you make cash money, because I was a hairstylist for 20 plus years.
Oh, wow.
And even though I made a lot of money, I did very well. Mm-hmm. However, I didn't have anybody telling me how to invest. Like, my mom didn't know anything about investment because she was a single mom for many, many years until she married my stepfather, whom I love. And so she did it all by herself. So she didn't have that knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. So how could you tell us in part the wisdom that you have gained for us to take money and invest? Like, how does that even look? I have friends, yes. Now I have friends and people that have investment groups. My husband and I have people that are in our family that's close to us that teach us about saving and investment and IRAs and all these things. But I didn't know that then. Mm-hmm. I learned it in the latter years, right? And so you telling us, how can we start? How much do we need? when you think about investment, what is it? Are we investing in stock market? Are we investing in real estate? Or like what exactly when you say invest, and how much does that take?
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad you asked that. Well, there's a lot of different vehicles that you can use to invest.
Okay.
And I know some of the more lucrative would be along the lines of real estate, and also the stocks, bonds, mutual funds, Roth IRAs. But to be more specific, when we're talking about investment, we're talking about something as simple as setting aside maybe $50 to $100 a month inside of a Roth IRA. Now, watch this. I had a friend growing up that lived in my neighborhood, and I remember I went to her birthday party when I was maybe she was about 21 years old.
Okay.
And just out of curiosity, we're the same age, and I asked her, I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of a Roth IRA? Have you ever heard of a mutual fund?" And she said, "Oh yeah, my parents set that up when I was a kid, and they've been contributing to it every month since I was a kid." It's not the big discipline, you guys. It's the little bitty disciplines that add up over time. Did you know that if someone were all the way up to set $6,000 and max out a Roth IRA for their kid at 14 years old and never touched it again, put $6,000 inside that mutual fund, that kid would be a millionaire by the time they're at retirement?
Wow.
It's that simple. It's something very, very simple. It's just about having the discipline, knowing where the vehicle to put it in, and having the discipline to set it aside and let it grow and let that money work for you.
Wow. So, and like in all reality, I always, just learning from the people that has really came alongside Torrance and I and taught us these things, how to invest, how to save, emergency funds, and those things, right? And I'm grateful for all of them who have come alongside of us and taught us those things. But how do you start when it seems like I said early in the post, when you have more month than money? And a lot of times I notice that people will buy purses and bags and Jordan shoes. So instead of buying your baby, what you're saying to me, instead of buying that expensive bag, because it's one thing that I've learned, that I'd rather have money and a no-name brand bag than a name brand bag with no money, right? So basically, instead of buying the Jordans, no, we love Jordans, so please, but we're just saying, taking those, like prioritizing. And one thing that we've learned, Torrance and I have learned, is to make our money have an assignment. So instead of just going out and spending, and it causes you to be more frugal, right? Instead of buying name brand this, that, or things that you may not necessarily need, you want to first take out, like, we're going to designate this $100, however much you said a month, $60 to $100, and we're going to put this aside to put in this IRA.
That's absolutely rule number one. Rule number one to building and accumulating any type of wealth is pay yourself first. The irony is, typically we pay everybody else first and then try to pay and invest in ourselves with whatever is left over at the end of the month. When before we pay anything, before you pay your house, your car, anything, you have to pay yourself first. Okay, because you're your most valuable asset. And man, without that asset, I mean, that's everything. You know what I mean? And number two is this. And I think there's a myth and there's a stigma in our community about having a professional money manager. If your car breaks down, then most people have a mechanic that they go to and say, "Hey, this is a family friend or somebody that we know, and this is their level of expertise. This is what they do." And the same thing, if something happens, we have doctors, we have dentists, we have all of these different professions in our community. But there's a myth when it comes to having somebody that's an advisor and reaching out to a friend and saying, "Hey, teach me about wealth." But ironically enough, that's one of the most important things that we all want to accumulate as wealth. You know, so.
Woo. And we all want it. We just need to know how to obtain it.
Yes, ma'am.
TD Jakes. No, we want to know how to obtain that thing, right? So tell us, if there's a lot of us who are unemployed. There's a lot of people who have lost jobs. There's a lot of people who have, how can I say, like, have been really legitimately affected by this pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can our viewers and those who are watching and those who are going to tag friends and family members, how can we come up from such a deep ditch? How can we come up from this place in a deep ditch? Like sometimes we're trying, it's not like a lot of times we have this conversation. It's not that we don't want to do better. We just don't know how to do better. And we don't have the resources to do better. But now you're giving us some resources.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we do? Let's just say if someone, I have viewers from 16 to 91. We have a beautiful young lady who watches, and she's 91 years old, right? How do our older season watchers, how do they start doing and saving on a fixed income?
Well, again, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning is it doesn't matter whether you have $5,000 coming in a month or $500 coming in a month. The formula doesn't change, which is you still have to pay yourself first. And with most adults, like I said, some people may work at Kroger, some people may work at a Fortune 500 company, but that formula doesn't change, which is before you touch any of the money, set 10% aside. And
for tithes?
Yeah, but for tithes too.
Because we don't pay our tithes, honey. So it should be your tithes.
Yes, ma'am.
Pay yourself.
Pay yourself.
So
yes,
should we pay after we pay our tithes? And sometimes people tithes look different, right? But even after you pay your tithes and then pay yourself, like how do you gauge it when it seems like there's not enough money?
Okay. Now, this is where
I hope we help us out. Y'all send in some questions for me to ask him because he's here and we live and this is good.
Okay. So there are some other tools that go home side by side and coincide with what we're talking about. For example, how do you free up money where there is no money? And one of the tools that has been very, very effective is by reducing your debt. That is a tool that everyone can do. Just by reducing your debt, that can free up money that you can potentially put into your Roth IRA, potentially put into your savings or your retirement. And the way that we reduce debt and we teach people how to reduce debt, because the interest is what kills people. It's always the interest. You know what I mean? Like a credit card company knows that if they put a credit card in this kid's hand, they will own this kid for the next 30 years of their life at 20% interest. That interest is what kills people. So with that being said, we teach people. I know you guys, if you heard of Dave Ramsey, I know he touches a lot on snowballing and debt elimination. To snowball is to have a system in place. And these are some of the strategies that we teach is how to line those debts and how to pay off the ones with the highest interest rate first, because those are the ones that the interest is what's going to kill you.
And then you seem like you pay those things forever. And these are the people, especially, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is your expertise, like the rent to own places, the buy here, pay here car loans.
Oh my gosh.
The title loans, when you bring your title in and we're going to give you X amount of dollars. And we sometimes are just in a tight spot and so desperate for money, we don't even read the fine print. And the interest rate is 40% of the loan, right?
Absolutely.
So you borrow $10 and you owe them $10,000 or whatever, And so, and this is how they get us.
Okay. Now let's reverse it a little bit. So, your credit, let's talk about that, debt and credit. So, that's one of the ways it can either work against you. Credit can either work against you or it can work in your favor.
Okay.
So on the one end, the problem I see when we talk about credit cards and debt is that people are purchasing with money that they don't have. That's the issue. So
wait, back that thing up. Say that one more time.
People swipe a credit card and make a purchase with money that they don't have. That's a major issue. And so now they got you. So now they got you at 20-25% interest, and you willingly swiped that credit card and you knew you didn't have the money to pay it back. As opposed to, okay, so you have a credit card, right? Hypothetically, and you have $1,000 in your checking account.
Okay.
Well, guess what? you can make the purchase with that credit card, okay? And then you can pay that credit card company back 7 days before the billing cycle. And what happens is when you do that 3, 4, 5 months in a row, then it's going to increase your credit limit.
Yes, sir.
That's how you get credit to work in your favor. Never spend money on that credit card that you don't have. Only use the money that you have, and you pay that cycle off 7 to 10 days before. And again, what the purpose of it, the main component in that, in doing so, is you're gonna be able to raise your credit limit. You're gonna, now your credit is gonna start going up, and you're gonna be able to leverage your credit later on in life. Leverage it for any type of major purchase that you may really need. We live in a credit world now where credit is king.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. So minimizing debt. Okay, never put money on credit cards that you don't have, that you can't pay off. Mm-hmm. The little disciplines, it's those little bitty disciplines that take us so far.
And the whole and correct me once again if I'm wrong, because you are totally the expert. I am still here learning, mm-hmm. and I am grateful for those who have come alongside me and have taught me mm-hmm. some stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I have an amazing group of people that are financial advisors. They do this on a day-to-day basis, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful for you as well, because now you're going to be a part of our team, because you can never know it all. So I love to get different perspective on how to do and mm-hmm. manage money. Here's a question. It's always the consumer, right? Mm-hmm. They want you to not pay. Mm-hmm. They hoping that we cannot pay so mm-hmm. that they can take that interest on, add some other fees, late fees. Yeah. I'm like, you pay fees upon fees. Your fees have fees. Mm.
And also, whenever you get in a card, you got to pay attention to that APR. You got to pay attention and read that fine print, because they may say 0% APR for the first 18 months.
But if you don't pay it off in 18 months, what happened?
If you don't pay it off, then obviously they're going to charge their interest. But not just that. I'm saying you can get a credit card and never swipe it. And in 18 months, they're going to start charging you interest. So you have to read the fine print on that APR. See, that's how they sell it. They say, okay, well, we're not going to charge you anything for the first 18 months. Uh-huh. You got a credit card, but we're not going to charge you anything for the first 18 months. But then after that 18 months, it's going to be 25% interest on whatever that credit limit is. So now they're charging you interest even if you hadn't swiped that card.
Wow. Are y'all hearing this?
Man,
are y'all hearing this? So they charging you interest even if you don't use the card.
Even if you don't use the card, they'll charge you interest.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So you have to be mindful and read the fine print. Guys, read your contract, read the fine print of what's in there so that you don't get trapped.
And a lot of times that's the issue. Mm-hmm. We are desperate. Because there's a need. There's a legit need that we need money, right? Mm-hmm. And then we don't want to read. A lot of times it's like, hey, sign here. Okay, so no, what am I signing? Yeah. And it's, even if it's going to take a couple minutes and you read it, because you know, a lot of times they say, okay, we're going to go through this application or through the contract or whatever it is, the agreement. And they say, oh, here's the paragraph that says the financial issue. Oh, how much you're going to pay a month or whatever. So they that representatives try to tell you what it says, but you still have to say, you know what? I still need that time to sit and read this. But even if she's telling you, oh, it says this and just sign here. No, I need to read for myself, because a lot of times they'll leave that little fine piece of that fine print out, and then you have this interest, and then you pay longer than you should. Man, it's real.
And well, and again, it's not to hold a negative perspective about it, because it can absolutely be used in your favor. Because if we're doing what we're supposed to do with those credit cards, and you're paying it off before your billing cycle, 5 to 7 days, 7 to 10 days before.
Not the day of.
Not the day of. Okay. 5 to 7 days before. If we're doing what we're supposed to do with it over the course of a year, guess what? They're going to raise your credit limit. You do it for another year, they're going to raise your credit limit. And you're going to notice, and slowly but surely, your credit score is going to start to go up. It's going to start to go up to where it's showing on your credit that, hey, this guy has a track record, a history of paying on time. So it works in your favor.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so whenever you go to purchase anything, so let's talk about like credit scores. Whenever, how do people, like consumers, or if you're going to purchase something, how do they determine if they're going to approve you for a loan or approve you for a car or approve you to purchase or a credit card. So how is that determined? Like what is considered a good credit score?
780, 750, 780. That's relatively good. And again, it ties back into debt.
Okay.
What we said, this is why eliminating debt from our
Mhm.
life is so important.
Mhm.
But before you can eliminate the debt, you have to know what the debts are. You have to be able to say, okay, I have a mortgage. Okay, I have 2 credit cards. I have debts are now we're talking about revolving debt here. We're
Okay.
talking about those debts that you pay every month.
Every month.
Every
Right.
month. And but you have to, and we show people how to do this, you guys, and we list them and we show them, we give them a program and teach
Okay.
them how the fastest way to pay their debts off, because the first thing that they're going to look at when you go looking for a car or a new home, or it's not necessarily, is this person cash heavy in the bank? One of the first things they're going to look at is, okay, is this person, what does their credit look like? What does their credit history look like? What is the history of them purchasing apartments or homes? What does that history look like? And that's all attached to that credit score. And so, man, I'm telling you guys, minimize that debt.
Okay.
Do what we're supposed to do on those credit cards. And over
Okay.
the course of 2 to 5 years, man, you'll be in the best shape financially as far as credit is concerned.
Well, only 2 to 5 years. Wow.
Yeah, just by minimizing debt and maximizing on taking advantage of paying those cards off on time. And not only that, if a person did that for 3 to 5 years and paid their credit cards, and now mind you, it doesn't matter whether you put $200 on that card a month. It doesn't matter whether you put $25 a month. They just want to know, did you pay it off on time?
Okay.
That's what they're looking for. Did you incur the debt and did you pay it off on time?
Okay.
And so again, over the course of, I believe periodically every 3 to 4 months, you're going to notice, like I said, that credit score is going to start going up. And if you did that, if a person did that consistently for about 5 years, oh man, they'll be in the best shape ever. And they minimize their debt, you'll be in great shape.
I love it. I love it.
Yes,
What?
ma'am.
Oh, so much. My little brain is going. But one of the things you kind of talked about, how do we contact you? And for those that are watching, if we're watching, or for those those who are tuned in today, or who's going to watch the replay, how can we contact you where we can say, you know what, this is how much I make, and I'm struggling, and I need help. I need someone to help me to manage my money, and it's okay, because everybody is not like, they don't know how to use the financial, like, or have financial literacy classes or courses that we've taken, right?
Yes,
How can people reach you where they can contact you and say, I need help?
Again, we're going to attach the link tree at the bottom.
Yes.
And just for a peace of mind, you guys, we personalize it. Our goal is to customize every person's experience.
I love it.
Because no two pair of shoes are the same. And so again, it doesn't matter whether a person is paycheck to paycheck, or if they have a little bit more assets and they say, hey, I have these assets here and I don't know what to do. But whenever we wrap up, one of the things Ms. Etchem, I said we'll attach the link in the bio on our link tree. You guys can look us up on Instagram or Facebook as well. And I'd be more than happy to sit down one-on-one and go into more detail as far as whatever area of concern they may be looking for.
Give us a number for those who are tuned in, and of course we're going to share all your information at the end of the broadcast. Give a number where they can call or reach you to make that appointment. Yes,
ma'am. Well, a good number to reach me will be 832-668-0482. Once again, that number is 832-668-0482. If you guys have any questions concerning any of the above, and in addition to what we're sharing, you guys, let me share this as well. There's about $3 trillion in the banking system right now. $3 trillion. That's not growing any interest for people. Money that is just sitting in a vault and is collecting dust because it's not growing.
Wow.
You guys, I don't know if y'all hear that, but are you with me? $3 trillion.
Not million, not billion, but trillion.
$3 trillion.
Okay.
Because what were we taught about money growing up, you guys? We were taught to go down to our local bank. I don't care if it's $5,000. I don't care if it's a stimulus check. The first one we do is put it inside of a checking account or a savings account. You guys, but these checking accounts and savings accounts are yielding us very little returns on our money.
So what are you saying to us? Like, as far, like, I know you're not saying don't put our money in the bank. So what should we do?
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, the pros, one of the pros about having a bank account is that money is liquid, which means you can touch it at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
But the downside to that is even if you just have $5,000 sitting in your checking account, let me ask you a question. What do you think that bank does with that money? They just keep it in a vault?
No, they invest it.
They invest it.
Yeah.
Where do they invest it? How do they invest it?
Mm-hmm.
See, let's just keep it at that, though. They invest it. So if they're investing our money, then that means they're going out making 10, 12, 15% interest on our money.
On our money.
But they're giving us traditionally 0.000 on our money.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you guys, don't let this be you. We don't want this to happen. We want to create it to where open line of dialogue to where you guys, we can sit down with you and we can personalize this and show you where to be putting your money, like we were talking about with the mutual funds and with the Roth IRAs, and to show you guys where to be putting that money so that we can get the interest on our money instead of them getting it.
And I love this conversation because a lot of people in different cultures, we're just not taught.
Mm-mm.
This is not a conversation that we're having at our dinner tables, right? This is not a conversation that we're having with mom and dad or how to do credit. A lot of times, by the time we get out of high school, we have light bills in our name. We, mama use your name to buy something, and Finger Hut, your name is. So a lot of times we grow up and come into life before we even start experiencing life in debt.
And you know what happens?
Because mama needed our name.
Ain't that crazy?
It is.
And where our parents leave off.
Mama, you owe me some money, honey. No, I'm playing.
Where they leave off, Miss Alisha, where our parents leave off, that's where we start. Where we leave off is where our children are going to start. See,
that's good.
How can you pass generational wealth if you hadn't obtained the information and the knowledge to be able to pass it down? And think about this. How many people can you think of that are really financially independent, 65 years old, and they have $5 million saved for retirement? How many people personally know like that? And for most of us, the answer is, well, I don't really know nobody like that. That's how important it is. Yeah. But do you know how easy it is to be a millionaire? If somebody at 18 years old, if they put $100 in a Roth IRA from 18 all the way to retirement, they'd be a cash millionaire. It's that simple.
Okay, so wow, this is good. So should we as parents, so basically what I'm hearing you say, as parents, and I'm a grandma now, so yes, we should, and that's one of the things that we've had a discussion. We had a family meeting in the beginning of the year, and that's one of the things we want our kids to start saving and building wealth for their children as well. Like you're saying, saving money for the kids, for their college. So when they grow up, whatever they want to do, the money is there. And it doesn't have to be, like you said, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, just something. And we would be surprised of how that money works and build muscle for our kids and our children's children, right?
So often I hear people say, well, it's just hard to find money. But think about this. How much would you say that most people spend unnecessarily every month?
Oh, goodness. I don't even know if we even know how much.
Are you with
like,
it?
Yeah.
That's
because we just what do you call that? Impulsive.
Impulsive buying.
Spending and buying stuff and candy and shoes and all the things that we really don't need. That we could but when you become money conscious, and I wasn't always like that, honestly. It took me really being around people who had money. Like I have friends that have some money for real. But you would never know that they were even millionaires because they don't act different. They don't they're very frugal and very smart and wise, right? However, they taught us this is how you make your money work for you. I remember the first, when we first sat with our financial advisors and they were like, hey, you should have an emergency fund. And I'm like, okay. But how do you start an emergency fund when everything is an emergency, right? But then to you, but then really just trying to really put in a plan. And so we had to sit and put a plan in place. Like, what's really an emergency? And once so everybody usually says, and we, even with our nonprofit, we love the Dave Ramsey, right? But then after you build, or even after you saved $1,000, should you continue to add on to the $1,000 emergency fund, or should you add another envelope or save more money? How does that work?
There's three of them. There's three different accounts.
Okay.
So number one is an emergency fund.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
How much should be in your emergency fund?
3 months of your monthly income. So, for example,
that's what they told me.
Now, once that emergency fund is filled, that means you have, if God forbid you get laid off or something happens, that money is there. Now, the second account is something called a short-term account. The short-term account is for things, not retirement, but major purchases. Something as far as, let's say your transmission in your car goes out.
Okay.
Let's say your refrigerator goes out.
Okay.
This is the account that you want to put a down payment on a new house, a home, that you get that from your short-term account. Okay. Short-term account that we teach our clients to have at least 3 to 6 months of their income inside of there. So if they're making $2,000 a month, then that means they need $12,000 inside of that short-term account. The short-term account is everything that's not an emergency. That's a major purchase.
We make everything an emergency. I need some new hair. I need some lips. I need a new outfit. I'm going to we make everything
let's be
an
honest.
emergency. Like, I am being honest.
Yeah.
Getting some good hair is an emergency for some people.
Here's the thing: we're not saying not to spend money.
I'm being funny, but this is serious.
Yeah,
and this is what I hear, and what we hear.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with spending money, but do what you're supposed to do with the money that you get first, and whatever is left, then you can spend after you've taken care of priority number one.
I love it.
There's nothing wrong with.
Amen.
Hey, you can shop till you drop as long as you're maxing out your emergency fund, your short-term account, and your wealth building account. The wealth building is your retirement. As long as you max those 3 accounts out, after that, great.
Do what you need to do.
Do what you need to do with it, yeah.
Go buy some good hair.
And
I love it.
And to be honest, so many people, we spend so much money unnecessarily.
Absolutely.
Unnecessary. And we can say, well, I just don't have the money. That's not necessarily true. People blow money. If you're just talking about entertainment and going out, most people spend so much money, it's ridiculous. Most people can find $300 to $400 in their budget every month just from going out and eating.
An eating bill, right? Just eating.
That's a bill.
Right. That's a whole. You can buy a new car cash if you just stop eating out.
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Oh, Father. Yeah.
Man. So
pray for me.
What I love that being able to teach people that discipline, and
it takes discipline. That's the first thing. I didn't mean to cut you off, but discipline. How do we start? Like, because a lot of times I had to learn that I had a poverty mindset. I didn't even know what that was until it was brought. Like, you can't think like in that poverty mindset. You have to give your money an assignment. Give your money a duty. Give your money responsibilities. And when I started looking at money different, I was like, whoa. Money changed the whole narrative about how I live, and so now I realize I'm able to do more, take trips and do all those things because now I don't spend frugal like I used to. And when I was a hairstylist, and I mean, a lot of hairstylists probably could attest for this, you're making cash money every day. People coming into your salon selling bags, shoes, whatever they're gonna sell, right? Food, and you just like.
And here's the thing about that, and especially with people that run their independent businesses.
Yeah.
We work entirely too hard for our money, but our money is not working for us. If I pull that hairstylist most and say, hey, show me what you've accumulated in the last 8 years, 5 years, 2 years, they're going to say, I don't know. Show me. If I asked a random person in the last 5 years, show me where you spent your tax refund.
No.
Show me what you did with your stimulus checks. The average person couldn't tell me what they did with their refund check 5 years ago. So we're working we want to teach people how to stop working so hard for their money and start letting that money work for them. Money is the best employee. When you invest it, it's the best employee you'll ever have, because money doesn't sleep. Money doesn't get tired.
You better stop it now, Christian.
Money doesn't get tired.
What?
Money is the best. Money doesn't get pregnant.
Oh, Father.
Are you with me?
Baby daddy.
Money. When that money is being invested, that money is working for you 24 hours a day.
Come on.
Non-stop. They ain't got to take breaks. Nothing. It's working for you.
Wow.
And it's in my opinion. And that's the one thing that I can say is we work entirely too hard. It's crazy to think that we work 30 to 40 years to try to enjoy 10 years of our life.
Huh.
If you're lucky.
Come on. Come on, Christian.
That doesn't make sense to me. So that's the purpose of why we do what we do. We have to invest. We have to be teaching this literacy and teaching this knowledge, because every person that I sit down with, I look at them as if I'm sitting with my parents, because I want them. Retirement is a myth. That word in itself is a myth.
All right, so talk to me about that. Just stay right there for just a second. Help me out.
Retirement is a myth. Retirement is not real. The word that we're looking for is financially independent. It's not retirement. We hear retirement because that's what we've been programmed to think. Work for 40 years, try to live on 10 years, and die with a gold watch. But it's not retirement. The word is financially independent, because you can walk off the job tomorrow if you have enough money accumulated. So it's not, retirement is not an age. It's a certain amount of money. It's called being financially independent.
Ooh, that's so good. That is so good. And we want that help, right? Mm-hmm. How to become financial. Somebody just in the comment section, just write that hashtag financial independence.
Financially independent.
Independent,
mm-hmm.
right? Because we all, like you said, we've all been programmed to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody looks for the day that I'm going to retire. You work 800 years. And some people don't even make it to see the retirement or enjoy their retiring money.
Most people spend more years accumulating, trying to get to retirement, than they actually get to retire.
Come on.
With the cost of inflation,
come on,
people are dangerously underestimating how much they're going to need to be able to retire. Most people spend more years trying to get there than staying there. This is why you have those old people that are 75, 80 years old working at Walmart shaking a bell. They didn't do what they were supposed to do and didn't take heed to wise counsel while they were younger. So now they have to go back to work. Bills don't care whether you're old or not.
Exactly.
If we're not doing what we're supposed to do while we're young and building the wealth for ourselves and for our generations, if we're not doing that, you're going to pay the benefits of the consequences of it later. Just like if you don't monitor your health while you're young, you're going to pay the consequences of that later in life. That's right. Diabetes and high blood pressure and all of that. We're trying to diagnose it when we get there instead of trying to take care of it while we're young.
Before we even have to visit that. I love this. I love this conversation. I want you, wow, this is so good. So much information. And the only thing that I wish I knew this when I was 19 and 20 and when I was but however, I'm glad that I did obtain the information at some point in my life, because it caused me to shift my thinking, right? Like I say, and we talk about poverty mentality. I didn't even know it was a thing until I started studying about that. And it was brought to my attention. Just always thinking like, oh, let's get this. Like if you get, even when we get our income tax, we don't even think about or even stop or pray or like, what should I do with this? We automatically, we're going to go shopping. We're going to go buy stuff.
Don't blow it, grow it. That's our slogan. Don't blow it. Don't blow that money. Don't blow it, grow it. If you watch this, 5 years, I give you a 5-year game plan for somebody that's, let's say, mid-20s or 30s. Most people are going to get a refund check. As long as they're working in these United States, they're going to get a W-2, they're going to get some money back, right? If somebody took about 3 to 5 years, let's say the average person gets $3,000 to $5,000 back on their refund check. Instead of taking the whole $5,000, don't take the whole $5,000 invested and put it away. Here, we're going to show you, hey, put half of that aside.
Okay.
Take $2,500 out every year and do that for 5 years. And just put it in your Roth IRA, put it in your wealth building account. Do you know if somebody did that for 5 years and let that money sit there till retirement, they'd have $1 million saved? 5 years, just taking half of what they're already getting back and just setting it aside instead of going to buy a new BMW or buying something
that they're going to take in 3 more months, 6 months anyway. There's
a 98% chance they're going to blow that money. We want to catch them before they do that. It's income tax time. And I'm telling you, there's a 98% chance if they don't have a plan, which most don't, they're going to blow it.
Without a plan, you plan to fail.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's already in stone.
Yeah. How does it go? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Wow. Wow. This is such a wealth of information. I'm so glad that you're here giving us the wisdom. And I know that there's going to be many people who's going to watch the replay. And they're going to be able to glean from just our conversation. And I know that you've given your phone number and you've given how to reach you. And then we need to do that. Yes. If you are getting any kind of stimulus, unemployment, so you say, so it's not against the law. So let me just put that disclaimer out there. So it's not against the law to use state funds to invest.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No,
I was just asking.
But there's one other component, essential tool, because we got to talk about this.
Okay.
That goes alongside with putting money aside as well.
Okay.
Now, investing is for the long term. So God willing, we want to be in a position to get to retirement.
Okay.
But now we're going to talk about what happens if something happened to you tomorrow. It's called income protection. Now, these are the two, they work together.
Income protection.
Okay,
talk about.
Okay. So we got to talk about this because retirement is for the long term.
Okay.
Wealth building is long term.
Okay.
But what happens if something happens to you today, tomorrow? What happens to your family? So there's two components. One of these two things is going to happen to us. Everybody. We're either going to die too soon or we're going to live too long. It's going to happen. One of these hands.
Either one.
It's going to. But we have to prepare our people. We have to teach them how to be prepared either way. So now, with the income protection, now the stigma is, let me cover another myth. A myth is, I got life insurance. Great. How much coverage you got? I got 10,000. Do you know that 10,000 will barely put you in the ground? There's life insurance and there's income protection. Life insurance puts you in the ground. Income protection means that if your spouse passes away, you can maintain at minimum that same quality of life you had for the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Income protection. That's the difference between having a $10,000 burial policy and having a $300,000 policy. That's because when you get that $300,000, that is to last you. Bills don't care when people will pass away. If in a 2-parent house, now watch this. We know the statistics. 9 out of 10 African Americans in our community have no insurance at all. And the one that does, they probably got the wrong kind. That's a fact. That is a fact.
When you say the wrong kind, what do you mean?
The wrong kind. Meaning, remember how we were.
Help us.
Where there's no knowledge, the people perish.
That's what the word says.
And most agents are out to sell you the biggest policy they can. So they sell all these crazy policies out here because they want to maximize on their commission instead of doing what's right with you. So with most major insurance companies, there's no incentive to give people what they really need, but more so to sell them the wrong thing so that they can make the most money from it.
Wow.
So I'm hitting on both bases. So with that income protection, again, experts say you need 8 to 10 times your spouse's income in case something happens. Okay. So if they make $30,000 a year, that means you need $300,000 in coverage to be able to survive your husband. Again, in a 2-parent household, if a dad or a mom passes away, within 90 days, 95% of the people have to sell that house. They're downgrading. It's happening. This is how important this is in our community. And it's kind of like we don't want to talk about it. Income protection or life insurance is a 9-letter curse word until you need it. But we quick to say hot plate. We quick to say GoFundMe. We quick to say fish fry.
Barbecue sandwiches, yeah. Yes.
That's no.
Oh,
How do
come
now,
on,
now,
Christian.
now let me show you how
Woo.
how it works together. This is how it works. We're talking about building generational wealth, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
So husband and wife have a
This is
policy.
so good to my wife.
If the husband passes away, mama got a check for $300,000. We're gonna give mama a check for $300,000. We're gonna say, hang on, mom. We're gonna show you what to do, and we're gonna show you how to get a policy for your children when they get of age. So you take out a $500,000 policy on these kids. Within 2 generations, you've created a family of millionaires.
Just from insurance.
Just from insurance.
Did y'all hear this?
Within 2 generations.
Did you hear this? Just by the knowledge of your insurance policy. Like, you guys got to contact this young man. He is like, this is a wealth of information and things that we are doing already, but just making sure that we are doing it the proper way, the correct way, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
And for those that do have a policy, I think that's fantastic. What we like to do is what's called a insurance audit, just to make sure that what they have is what they say. Because with something that important, you don't want to play around with it. And now watch this. They put a lot of fancy language in those policies to where the average person can't understand. But we love to do that. We'll pull up the policy and read the fine print just to make sure that it is what they say it is.
Wow, I have somebody who, Shantrana Parker. Hi, Shantrana. She's a young lady. I was telling you about who she was, a hairstylist, but she just posted, and I didn't want to cut you off. But she said her and her hubby they just sat down and had this discussion. Tell us how important it is for us to have these discussions. Like, nobody wants to talk. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but don't nobody want to die and talk about insurance and death, right? Tell us how important it is for us to sit down and have family meetings on this very topic, like who has insurance, and that's one of my pet peeves. And people who know me, I'm not buying no barbecue dinner. I'm not selling dinners to bury you. Like, I'm a firm believer. If you buying Jordans and all this stuff for your kids, they need to have insurance first.
The very first question we ask every last one of our clients. It's not even a matter of a question of.
It's good.
The very first question I ask is this right here, you guys. The first question I ask them always is on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 meaning it absolutely means everything to you. 1 meaning you really just don't care. How important is it to make sure that your family is taken care of if something happens to you? That's because if it's not a 10, then this it's not for you. That's the first question I ask, is to create the value. It's almost like we got car insurance, we got health insurance, we got all these insurances, but no life insurance. It's almost like, think about this, if you will. You got a dad, he gets up in the middle of the night, goes down to the local, his bank, and he empties his bank account out with his wife and kids and 3 kids. Imagine if he emptied his checking account out, got in the car and drove and never came home and left them with nothing. That's equivalent to a person passing away and leaving their loved one struggling. We don't have to say how important it is, because we see how important it is. It happens every day. And
then after you die, sometimes there's still bills, right?
Bills don't care whether you die or not.
That's right.
You either have what you're going to need to continue to pay bills. And again, if both parents make $30,000 a year and they have a $60,000 quality of life. Okay. That person just lost half of their income.
That's right.
Which means if they don't find a way to replace this income, they're going to downsize because they can't afford this lifestyle anymore.
So good,
man. I love being able to share that knowledge.
So good. And a lot of times we assume or think, as long as I have an insurance policy to bury grandma or bury family members, that's it. But what you just open our eyes to is to build in wealth, even in our insurance policies. Like once they pass away, yeah, thank God we were able to give them a nice burial and they're gone. But life still continues on for you and your family and your children.
Yeah, we don't teach them what to do with that money when somebody passes away. Good. What are most people going to do with it if we don't teach them what to do? If I cut somebody a check that has no prior financial education for $300,000, what do you think more than likely they'll do? They're not going to let that money last for the next 5 to 10 years.
Blow it.
They're going to blow it within 6 months. So what I love about it is, again, and there's a million companies, a lot of different, but I love the fact that we tailor it and educate them and say, hey, we're not just going to cut you a check, but we're going to show you what to do with it so that you don't outlive this check. Let this money work for you and for your family from here on.
So it's not like we're burying mama and dad, but this money from this insurance money is what I'm understanding you saying to us is that the money, even after mama or whoever, right? I'm just even after we bury them, that money, this same insurance policy is covering and sustaining families in generations to come.
For generations, everything you that your money touches is either an asset or a liability. And the question is, where are you putting your money? And is it an asset or is it a liability? It's an asset if it makes you more money. It's a liability if it takes money away from you. Anything that you put $1 of your hard-earned money towards, it's either an asset or it's a liability. So the goal is not just to be able to put them in the ground, but the goal is to be able to, those kids that had a home, we want to keep them in that home to make sure mom still has her home and she doesn't have to go live in a 1-bedroom apartment, or we want to make sure that she's straight for the next 5 years. So, and they work together. Again, that income protection is if something happens to you today or tomorrow. Whereas retirement is nothing happened to you, you get down here to 65. Now you're ready to walk away. You did what you're supposed to do, so you have wealth built. So either way, the goal is to be protected either way.
Man, this is so good. I just want to, I'm going to just put my head down and just see what, wow, this is so informative. Thank you. Because even though I've learned something even today about the whole insurance policies just working from generation to generation and how we make that money work for not only you, but for your children and your children's children.
I would be remiss if I didn't say this. I would be remiss.
Come on, let's talk about it.
So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about
Insurance is the number one way that we get screwed in the Black community.
All right, talk about that. I'll wait.
Okay, so insurance is meant to do just that. If somebody passes away, insurance is meant to serve as income protection. But what happens is now we live in a society where people are selling insurance like it's an investment, like it's a savings attached to it, like it's an investment. When insurance, the purpose behind insurance is if somebody passes away to support those loved ones behind them. But what happens is they're combining these policies together, calling them whole life, universal life, that's your whole life. And they're combining insurance and savings and bundling them together, putting them together.
Okay.
But they're doing everything for the person that sold it to them and not the client. Life insurance, we've been programmed from day one to hear whole life good, term bad. That's what we're taught. But insurance is just what it's meant to be. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like bundling your car insurance and health insurance together, or bundling your health insurance and your auto insurance together. They're two separate things. Insurance is designed to be insurance, and investments are designed to be investments. They aren't meant to be together. And 98% of people have either what's called a whole life cash value policy, they have a universal life policy, or one of these kind of policies. And they have, which again, if you guys are hearing this, again, this is strictly for informational purposes only. And people say, well, my policy don't work like that. Show me your contract. And we pull it up in the fine print. Again, that's where that insurance audit comes in to make sure that people have the right thing. So if we, and for those who are watching, for our viewers and those who are tuning in, if they have an insurance policy and they said, you know what, Mr. Christian, I know what my insurance agent is telling me. Can I just come in or sit with you or Zoom in or FaceTime or however you guys are going to do it? Because I know that your office is open to either or, right? Yes, how can they give you a copy or send you a copy of their insurance policy and you really just do the insurance? Yes, ma'am, absolutely. That's and exactly give them the information. So you guys who are watching,
if you have a policy, on grandma, because a lot of us, we have policies for our parents, and we have policy for our children and our children's children. I love the fact that you are making yourself and your business, your company, your agency available so that we can get truth.
Mm-hmm.
You said something that was so true and so powerful, because I know a lot of insurance agents as well. It's not, and it's like, hey, just you need insurance. And so we all feel like, yeah, we do need to have insurance in the event something happened, right? Because we never know when something is going to happen, right? But we want to make sure that we have the right policies.
Yes.
We want to make sure that our policies are working for not only the person who is listed on the policy, but for those who are to come behind us. Right?
Now, do you know, man, if you saw what's in those policies, it'll scare you. Do you know that for most of those policies that I just described, for the first 2 to 3 years, you're putting $100 in, $70 goes to paying the life insurance, $30 goes into your cash savings. Do you know for the first 3 years that most people are allegedly saving money for those policies? For the first 2 to 3 years, there's zero money in there. All of that money goes to the agent that sold it to them. For the first 3 years. I'm serious, man. It would scare you what's inside these policies. But again, they put all of this fancy jargon to where most people just simply can't. It's not that they don't want to read it. They make it challenging for people to read and understand.
And if you don't understand the lingo, and like if you don't understand the like all the logistics and semantics that's in what's happening, you don't.
You just get the
and
policy.
a lot of times we don't like to read. Just tell me, like, yeah, okay, where do I sign, right? A lot of times that's what we see. Oh, just what does it say? Okay, great, I'm gonna sign. And we don't have, because our lives a lot of times is busy, and we don't want to hear all that. Just where do I sign? Because we just think like we trust you.
Right.
We trust our agents, and I'm not saying everybody agent. I'm just saying some of them become kind of like our family, and we just trust them. And whatever you tell us to sign, whatever you tell us to buy, as long as whenever somebody passes away, I'm able to bury them. And a lot of times, the policies that we've been paying for 20 and 30 years is still not enough to bury our family.
The average burial is $15,000 now, between $10,000 and $15,000. Most times. And here's the thing. I totally understand that those agents become close to family. Yeah. It may even be family.
Yeah.
But there again, here's a question that I asked. I said, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, which would you say is more important to you? The relationship that you have to this agent, or the relationship that you have to your family?
Of course, your family.
To your family. Okay. So if we're bringing you more value than where you currently are, then obviously it makes sense to look into something else if there's more value.
So good.
Look, if you have the best thing, I say great. It's not to berate any other agents or to knock anybody.
Yeah, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah, it's just, but if there's more value to be had in as far as your money working for you, your policy working for you, then we want it to be able to at least show you what we can do. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the relationship that you have to this agent. It's about the relationship you have to your family. Because that's what matters the most. And ultimately, if that agent loves you like they say they do, and if I'm bringing you more value, then they would want you to have what I'm finna give you too.
That's right. That's right.
Not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but again, it's kind of like going to the doctor. Most Black people don't want to go to the doctor. Something's wrong, and we don't want to go check it out. We just want to wait till our body's check engine light come on. We don't go check it out.
Yeah.
I'm okay. My policy's fine. Okay. I say, okay, and that's fine too, but don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to have an audit and just to make sure that you're on track.
Amen.
There's nothing wrong. It costs you nothing but a little bit of time just to make sure that you have what you say you have.
And I'm glad that we have people like you that read the fine print.
Oh man, that's
and
important.
that study the fine print and study and do all the back work that to help us. Because that is one of the things that whenever you and I even had a discussion that you want to help us. It's not, and it's nothing in a sense where you're going to make millions of dollars because you've got your own investment things going on, but you love to educate the people, right?
Yes, ma'am.
how to you said the not retirement but independent, financially independent. So that's some of the things that I appreciate you and what you do for the people and for the community. So if you are listening, if you are watching, if you are live with us now, if you're going to watch the replay later, thank you. I want you guys to consider just even go and find your insurance policies.
And man,
and look over them.
Yeah.
Call Christian and say, Mr. Christian, you know what? How can I meet with you? How can I set an appointment to for you just to make sure that I have the best policy that's going to work for my family, that's going to work for my family.
And a lot of times, again, people have these policies, but it's kind of like looking under the hood of your car. And if you're not acclimated, if that's not your particular skill set, not to say you can't read your contract, but if you're not a mechanic, then if somebody said, hey, it's your catalytic converter, you'd be like, I'll scratch my head and be like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? So it's good to have somebody that's their profession to review it for you and with you and say, okay, let me walk you through it. And
Absolutely.
And again, based on everything that we discussed today, whether it be income protection, whether it's focusing on debt solution, whether it's just building with those 3 accounts, those fundamentals, and building long-term wealth. Like I said, that we'll send out the link tree, and you guys can feel free to book an appointment just for more information in any one of those areas. It doesn't have to be all. There may be a specific area of concern, in which case we still would love to be able to address any questions or anything that they may have.
So I'm so grateful for this conversation because, this is tax season. People are getting unemployment and stimulus and all those things. And we're grateful for those things, right? We don't want to discount any of those things. However, how can I really want our viewers and the people that are watching to know that we can take that money and make it work for us for years and months to come. Like let's not just receive that money and be like, oh, I can go shopping, which is great. Because I know a lot of times we need things, right? However, really sitting and thinking and even calling and reaching out to Christian and say, Mr. Christian, I am getting, how much is stimulus? $1,200, $1,400? I'm getting $1,400. I may need $1,000 for bills, right? Because sometimes we just need to sometimes we got back pay on bills and we just need to take care of stuff like that. So I want to take this $400 and I need you to tell me, how can I start investing? How do I even open up an IRA? Right.
That's exactly what we do.
All the things like so, because I want them to hear. Because I always assumed, right, until my friends and my financial advisors really started teaching Torrance and I assumed you had to have thousands of dollars and you had to have all this money saved before you even can start, right? Doing IRAs and all money mutuals, all those things, right? So tell us, if we would come to you and say, I'm going to take half of my stimulus because it's legal or unemployment or whatever, and I want you to teach me or show me how my $200, my $300, my whatever it is, how it could work for me. You're open and available to do that.
Yes, ma'am. And again, we tailor it and customize it based on your age, based on your risk tolerance, based on what it is that you want your money to do. And that's something as simple as just booking an appointment with us. And because we want to make sure that they get that customized experience in terms of, but to open to have an IRA, man, you could, let me tell you, most advisors, man, most of those big companies, they won't even answer your phone call if you don't have $100,000 to invest. They won't even.
That's what I always thought.
They won't even call you. No, most big companies won't. So I love the fact that with our company, we're able to cater to individual homes and middle income families.
I love that.
And you can open an IRA for as little as $50 a month.
I love that.
Yeah. So I like the fact that it has that personal touch. So
once again, we're gonna put your information. Tell our viewers how to contact you. Give them the number to call and we're going to put your link tree in and have all your information, because I think this is very important that we start saving and start building wealth for not only our families, but our children. I tell my kids all the time, like, don't wait till I die to enjoy money. You need to start leaving a legacy for not only for your children and your children's children. And so just it has really been a blessing that Torrance and I have been able to have family meetings with our kids. And we ain't told them how much our insurance policy was. Because I like one of y'all might try to get rid of me soon. But we have to, and you have to have these conversations with your kids. So thank you. Give your number out before we release the line. Give them your number one more time, how they can call and reach you.
Yes, ma'am. The number is 832-668-0482. Once again, that number is 832. This is my cell number. 832-668-0482. And also, like I said, if you would like to book an appointment, everything it'll be in our link tree, and we'll attach that link tree in the bio. So just click on the link tree, and it will allow us to go straight to book an appointment with us.
Thank you so much, Christian,
Yes,
for being here. You
Yes,
have given us, myself and all of our viewers, a wealth of information. And prayerfully, they all are going to, contact you. And so I think that whenever they contact you, they should say, "Hey, I saw you on Queen's Corner." And all those who connect and contact you, I want to give them a special gift as well on behalf of the Queen's Corner, just for you've been partnering with us and them reaching out to you, because I'm really big and on just the partnership and washing hand and we helping each other. So you guys. Go contact Mr. Christian, and say, "Hey, I heard you on the Queen's Corner." And as soon as he give me your information, I'm going to send you a little thank you for watching, because we really want to use this platform to give information and educate our viewers. So God bless you guys. See you on Friday. On Friday, we're going to have Bobby Hustle. He's going to be live with us from the Hustle Hard Award. And so I'm excited that he's going to be here with us, telling us a little bit about his award ceremony that's going to be on Sunday. So God bless you guys. Have an amazing day. Until next time.
Appreciate it.
All right.